Hey everybody, this is Shawna Kugler. I just real quick wanted to go ahead and send out a quick training video on the non-rep leads. So basically what I wanted to do was try to answer some questions that have maybe come into the office and explain to people how to approach or how to handle these non-rep leads. So understand that there's 4 different types of leads that as an office will generate that we'll be able to send out to you. The first will be off of traditional listings, short sale listings, rental listings, or non-rep listings. So if we send you a lead, and in every email we should be able to say to you, this lead contacted us off of a non-rep or a short sale or a traditional listing or whatever it might be. So make sure that you're reading the email to see what kind of lead it is. But if somebody contacts us off of a traditional lead, a traditional listing, or a short sale listing, please understand that we're hoping that you show that property, that you're able to show the property and sell the property, and if you do manage to put a contract together on it, then you'll be treated as a buyer's agent and receive the commission that's being offered in the MLS. The non-rep lead. So let me explain to you real quick what exactly those are in case you have any questions. One of the divisions of EZ Choice Realty is EZ Choice MLS, which is the flat fee division. And I'll explain to you kind of how that works and why it's a beneficial tool for the office. But basically what happens is for sale by owner properties, so owners that are advertising for sale by owner, so they're not listed in the MLS with a realtor, and maybe they don't want to be in the MLS with a realtor, what they do is they hire EZ Choice MLS to input their listing into the MLS for them, but they're not being represented by the office. So therefore, they are still a for sale by owner. They just have a listing in the MLS in order to really get them on Realtor.com or Zillow or to get them the extra exposure. So any lead that comes in off of their listing, we have to send them back to that for sale by owner to follow up with. However, what's nice is that it brings an abundance of leads to the office that we can then distribute out to you guys. So what happens is we then send that lead to you to follow up with, and hopefully be able to turn them into a buyer to buy something else through you. I've been in real estate since 1999, and I've been a realtor all those years. And in my experience, and I understand that everybody's experience will be different, but in my experience, it's only a very small percentage of the buyers that actually buy the property that they're calling off of or that they inquire about. So our hope is that with all these leads that we're able to turn them into buyers to buy something else. So this is how I would always approach those leads, and I understand that you're going to want to kind of have your own script or your own spiel to talk with them, but maybe some of this information will be helpful for you and you can, pull from what I say, and especially if it helps you kind of know how to approach those leads. But basically what I do is the first thing I always want with buyers is I want them to feel like I'm willing to help them. So when I call them or email them, the first thing I say is basically, hi, this is Shawna Kugler with EZ Choice Realty, and I was just following up with you because you had inquired about a property at such and such address. And I wanted to make sure that somebody had been in contact with you on that property. If they say yes, great. If for any reason that property isn't going to work for you, as a member of the MLS, as an agent in your area, whatever you want to say, I do have access to everything that's available in the MLS, and I would be happy to do a search for you to see what else might be out there that fits your criteria. And then at that point, you kind of feel them out. Obviously, some people might say they're already working with an agent or whatever their situation is. Even if they say they're just looking or they're not really serious, I still try to get a little bit of information from them, especially maybe an email address. Because if you have an email address or even a physical address, you can mail them your business card. But with an email address, you can still go ahead and set up a very generic search for, maybe similar properties to what they were looking at. And then go ahead and save it for them and set them up to where they can get notified every time a new listing becomes available. Because if they're inquiring, that means that they're probably looking, maybe not for right now, but maybe 6 months down the road when their lease expires. And if you consistently send them emails, hopefully you'll be the agent they call. Now, when you're calling these non-rep listings and they say, no, nobody's been in contact with me off of the property, I want information off the property I called off of. Basically, at that point, what I would do is just explain to them that you're not the listing agent for that property. Just basically say, you know what, I'm not the listing agent for that property. I was just doing a follow-up with you. What I'll do is let the office know that nobody's been in contact with you and have somebody contact you to go ahead and give you the information. But in the meantime, I would be more than happy to go ahead and put together a search for you of other properties that are available in that area. As a realtor, I do have access to everything that's available. The other thing that I like to do when I'm talking to buyers, especially first-time home buyers, is explain to them that as an agent, you can do all their searches and do all their legwork for them. A lot of people don't realize that when they get set up on a listing book search or an MLS search, that they get notified when a property becomes available. So it really should save them the time of having to look on Realtor.com or look on Zillow. The other thing I like to point out is that Realtor.com and Zillow and all these websites, they take anywhere from 12 to 72 hours to update. So they might be spending their time calling properties that are already under contract, where obviously the MLS is instant. So the other nice thing is that if you do set them up on a search, explain to them that they'll get notification the minute that property becomes available. And so that way they're not missing a beat. They're not waiting 24 hours to get the information and then have to call the listing agent or wait for a phone call back. And by the time that, if it's a really good deal, it probably already has offers on it. So I like to point out those things, especially if it's a first-time home buyer, because they probably don't understand exactly how it works. And then the other thing I always like to point out, which I know a lot of people don't like to talk about money, but I do like to point out to first-time home buyers that working, or any buyer for that matter, that working with me is free. A lot of people don't realize that we get paid from the seller when they go to closing. Also, a lot of offices are charging $300 transaction fees or some type of fee to the buyer. So I always like to point out that if you work with me, it's absolutely free for you, and I'll be able to help you and represent you and look out for your best interest from finding a property all the way through closing. So anyways, like I said, I just wanted to kind of point out a couple of things. So on these non-rep listings, approach it in the way that you're kind of helping them. You're just following up to make sure somebody's been in contact with them. But in the same token, if you, as an agent, you're able to go ahead and send them other properties and maybe at least try to get their email address or try to get their mailing address or try to get something where you can stay in front of them. Quick story, in case this helps anybody, is just a few weeks ago, I got an email from a guy that had contacted me probably about 5 years ago off of a listing we had out in Tampa. It was a townhome community, and he owned a couple of other properties in there. I believe the property was already under contract when he had contacted me. And so I had kind of spoken with him very briefly, never met with him, never showed him anything. But when he told me that he had other properties in that community, what I did is I went ahead and set him up on a search in the MLS to notify him every day of new listings and properties that are selling. And that way it would kind of keep him up to date on what was going on in the neighborhood. So 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was the only one he emailed, and he basically said that he's now considering his tenants, he's considering not renewing their leases, and their leases are expiring in the next 6 to 12 months. And so that I was the only person he thought to contact, because I've been sending him emails for the last 5 years. And it only took me maybe 10 minutes to set up the search in the beginning, and then the MLS does the rest of the work for you. So hopefully over the next 6 to 12 months, he'll be listing the properties, and then he said he wants to buy something else. So again, it's one of those things where, you know, the persistency, and at the time I could have very easily said to him, oh, the property's under contract, thanks. But instead I took the 5 minutes to kind of talk with him, find out what he was looking for, set him up on an email search, and hopefully now it will turn into something for us. So anyways, like I said, I just wanted to kind of point that out. If there's any questions you guys have, please feel free to contact us. You can email, you can call, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you guys might have. But I know the non-rep listings can be a little bit confusing, so I wanted to kind of explain to you how Tim and I would approach a situation and see if that maybe helps. So hope you guys have a great day, and we'll talk with you soon. Thanks.